one of our friends had like I think it was like a Halloween party.
Yeah.
And we like played in his basement. Just like to everybody. And
Yeah.
I remember the basement was like super dusty. So like when we started playing, everybody like started like coughing and they had to like run out of the basement. And we were like, well, that was the first show. And I remember like trying to watch 8 Mile with my mom when I was like probably less than 10 years old.
Yeah.
And then like it was like so inappropriate. When I was living in Atlanta, I had a Walkman and I think I wrote like 50 Cent, Lil Jon on it, and I said like, do not touch or something. It was like, this is my Walkman, but we can't tell you who it is because we don't know for sure if she's gonna do it until she gets back from Africa. So we like saw this email and we're like, what's going on? And so we just start like scouring Instagram and we found a photo of Demi Lovato in Africa like within like 5 minutes. And
so we were
like,
so sure.
We were like, it's gotta be Demi Lovato. And
damn.
And it was. I was on a run. My manager called me and he was like, so I was like, yo, I'm on a run. Can I call you back? And he's like, yeah, but like Ed Sheeran tour in Southeast Asia.
And you're like, stop.
I
halted.
That. Yeah.
Hi, today I'm here with LAUV.
What's up?
So we met through our mutual friend Mike Wags, who went to college with me in Northeastern.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends from growing up.
And then I think we formally hung out in New York.
Yeah.
At your place.
At my place.
For this like, what occasion was it?
I think it was actually July 4th.
Okay, it was July 4th. So yeah, and then I think like few months after we hung out in like this, I don't know, this coffee shop. It was just like a small thing, but then now we're like both finally in LA.
Both living here because you were gone for a while.
Yeah,
so.
I was gone for a while. So you were born in Oakland, right?
Yeah, yep. I was born there, and it's funny because like I don't really, when people are always like, where are you from? But I moved around so much growing up that I don't really feel like I'm like from Oakland or San Francisco. I just moved away when I was 4, so. And
you did like music pretty early on, right? With like, what, violin and your sisters playing instruments?
Yeah, so like as a little kid, my parents had me take piano lessons, as parents do. And I did that for a few years, and then like I picked up viola because my sisters were playing violin and cello. So I thought I'd be the cute little brother and I would like complete the trio.
Oh! Did you actually like perform together?
We did like 2 or 3 times actually, yeah.
Oh.
It was special. My sisters were they were like way better than me though.
Damn, but now you've far advanced them. I guess they don't do music anymore.
They stopped making music, which is a bummer, I mean, but they're doing their thing.
Yeah.
But really it was like when I started playing guitar, that was kind of like when I started to write music and I really like connected with it in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your mom, I guess your parents have always been like supportive of music from
the
onset.
I'm really lucky.
Yeah.
Definitely really lucky.
And what else were you into back then, like other than music?
Skateboarding.
Oh yeah.
Skateboarding. I thought I was going to be a pro skater.
You competed a lot?
Compete, but I just love doing it. So I thought I was going to be a pro skater, and then I realized like the older I got, I don't know, like the more scared I got of trying like crazy shit.
And then you decided to do music.
And then I was like, you know what, maybe I won't break all my bones and I'll just make music instead. So.
How about like subjects in school?
That's an interesting question. I would say I was definitely not a history person. For whatever reason, I just couldn't. I was never good with history.
Same.
Okay, yeah, I don't know. As I know some people, they're like, that's like their thing.
Yeah.
Math. I think probably math was my thing. And also like lunch. That was my favorite.
You're the first person who ever said lunch.
Really? I think that was the best subject. Lunch. I'm right.
How would people describe you back then?
Really goofy. I was just that like really weird kid. Like weird and just like I just like to like say random things and like.
Were you like the class clown?
I don't know if I was like the class clown because like my sense of humor is a little bit too alternative. Like it's like Tim and Eric. It's just like really like just like very weird. So like some people got it, but most people were just like, what's going on?
What do your parents do?
So my mom works in vaccine research. She's like the senior director of HIV/AIDS vaccine research.
Oh wow!
At the Gates Foundation. Yeah. So she's like a huge role model for me, and then I sometimes feel bad because I'm here making music and she's like trying to cure AIDS.
Save the world.
Yeah, so
you're saving the world in a different way.
That's what people like to say. I mean, and my dad. Yeah, so both my parents are scientists. My dad is a teacher. He teaches anatomy right now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Did they pushy academically then?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My parents, yeah, I mean, they were always like super supportive of music, but like especially my dad, he was like whatever. He would always be watching like how well I would do in school. He was more conscious of it, definitely. Yeah.
At what age did you start to get into all the band stuff?
It was probably like when I moved to Pennsylvania, so I was like 14 or something like that, maybe a little younger. Yeah.
Did you move for your parents' job?
Yeah, for my mom's job.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the first band that you had?
The very first band was called Red Moon, which is actually it was me and Mike Wags.
Oh.
Yeah.
Damn,
We had a lot of bands together.
Back.
We had a lot of bands together. Yeah, that was way back.
What kind of music was it?
It was kind of just like slightly emo rock, I would say, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we were both just learning how to like. Those are like some of the first songs, you know.
Yeah.
I ever wrote. So.
How did you even think?
They were bad.
Oh my god! How did you think to even like transition from all the instruments you were playing to more of like band stuff?
It was just natural, I guess. Yeah, I guess like really like because once I started playing guitar, that's when I was just like all I wanted to do was make music. So from there, yeah, it was like because like you know piano and viola, that was very like it was a different thing. Mm-hmm. Because you're like learning pieces, and that's not very like for me it wasn't very expressive.
Yeah.
So like once I started playing guitar, then it was kind of like I also started to want to play drums and bass and whatever and yeah, it was just kind of natural.
How about the writing the music itself with like lyrics? Or how did you teach yourself that?
That was very interesting. I mean, it was kind of just doing it. Like at first I would just kind of like write randomly. It's funny, I haven't thought about some of these songs in so long, but I would just kind of like randomly write, and like a lot of it didn't make any sense because I hadn't really gone through a lot of stuff yet. So
you were writing about a lot of love.
Yeah, I was always writing about like even my very first songs were like love and heartbreak songs.
Yeah.
Even though I had never been in a relationship yet, I always kind of like dreamed about it, I guess. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I always like wrote about how I thought it would go.
Well, what was your first like performance?
One of the first ones I can remember. This was hilarious. It was one of those bands. One of our friends had like I think it was like a Halloween party.
Yeah.
And we like played in his basement, just like to everybody. And I remember the basement was like super dusty. So like when we started playing, everybody like started like coughing, and they had to like run out of the basement. And we were like, well, that was the first show. So.
Damn.
Yeah. Very very epic times.
And you also were really influenced by your like jazz. There was a guitar teacher who taught jazz and stuff.
Yeah. No, I had a really cool guitar teacher who, he was very insistent on like teaching me jazz music theory and everything like that. And at the time, I don't think I really appreciated it. But then like when I started especially writing like my first EP as LAUV, like I found myself pulling some of that stuff. I mean, it's just kind of like in the back of my mind. And now I also find myself going back and listening to like there's a few guitarists, like this guy Joe Pass and this guy Wes Montgomery that I was listening to a lot back then. I was like kind of studying how they would play, and I still find myself now going back and listening to their stuff. So,
what kind of music would you say your parents played when you were growing up in the house?
See, that's an interesting question because I never really had like a consistent. I was never one of those kids where my parents like, I can remember my parents playing me music.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Which like sometimes I'm kind of like. Like everybody has that story of like, oh, like my parents used to put on this tape or whatever in the car. It was never really like that. So I sort of feel like I was always around so many different types of music, I guess.
Did you live in Atlanta also?
Yeah.
How old were you during that?
I was 4 to 11.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you remember much from that? You were like into kind of hip hop.
Yeah, so that was like, because there was a lot of like interesting kind of early 2000s kind of like Atlanta hip hop rap stuff happening, and I remember as a kid like being into that. Actually, I had like a Walkman.
Yeah. Didn't you get like your parents got you like Eminem? I think they do.
Yeah, I think the first album I can remember was Eminem Show, and I remember like trying to watch 8 Mile with my mom when I was like probably less than 10 years old, and then like it was like so inappropriate.
Really?
Well,
I guess.
Have you seen that movie?
Years ago.
It's definitely bad.
Damn. You're like screeching the whole time.
Well, just for like a like a 9-year-old to watch. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But I had like when I was living in Atlanta, I had a Walkman, and I think I wrote like 50 Cent Lil Jon on it, and I said like, "Do not touch" or something. It was like, this is my Walkman.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
If you have it one day, you could sell it.
I definitely lost it.
After high school, you didn't even really want to like move to New York, right?
I was just kind of like, I don't know, before I lived in New York, I was very overwhelmed by the idea of the city, I guess, because it's just like so crazy. So like the couple of times I went before, you know, moving there, I was just like just kind of flustered by the whole place.
Mm-hmm.
But that ended up kind of being the reason that I decided, you know, to move. So I was like, you know, it's different.
Yeah.
It'll take me outside my comfort zone. So.
Why did you decide to study music?
There was like nothing else I could do. Yeah, I just like literally just couldn't imagine anything else I'd want to do. So I just figured I would do that.
Did your parents, were they chill with you studying music?
Yeah, no,
Wow.
they were super supportive. I mean, I think at first, you know, I studied music technology, which is like, you know, there was like the route of like at first when I was in college, I was like, okay, maybe I would be an audio engineer, like I would work in a studio, like, you know, there was like some practicality behind it. Those first 2 years before I started releasing music as LAUV, I was just focused on, you know, working on my audio engineering skills and like interning at studios and trying to get in the room with other songwriters and producers and just like working on the craft, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I met you, you were so epic.
No, that was my other project.
How did you, because I saw that and then as soon as you put out LAUV, I was like, wait, is this the same person? Because I think it was super different maybe to the other stuff you did.
Yeah.
And the other just like blew me away.
Oh,
I listened to it so much. Like, I think I just saw on your like Facebook page or something.
Yeah.
The early stages.
Thank you.
What was your idea to like transition between like next project and then that? I guess now of course you're concentrating everything on that.
Yeah. It was all just like really natural, you know. For me, that, you know, that other project, Epic, was kind of just like for me to have an outlet to release like remixes and stuff I was doing as a producer.
Yeah.
But you know, when I first wrote The Other, it was like the first song I had written, you know, in years that like was like something really real and genuine and deep to me. Like it was about, you know, what I was going through at the time. And so I was kind of like, I need to do something with this. Because, like, you know, before then I was just trying to, like, pitch songs for other artists and stuff. And I was like, I need to hold on to this. And then kind of like I knew just it had to be something different, I guess.
Yeah. Actually, how did you even get into pitching songs? Because you were pretty young back then. Did, like, NYU help with connections? Or how did you even get, like, yourself?
It was honestly just, like, the most random things happening in New York City. Like a friend of a friend meeting a producer, like, literally meeting a producer on the street in New York, and then like plugging us, and then we met him and we went into the studio and started working with him. It was just like random things would happen.
What was it kind of like? Were you already getting known in NYU after like The Other came out? Like, did people like know about you on campus?
I mean, a little bit.
Yeah,
but nothing crazy. Because I was the interesting thing is I was like, you know, in Prague. That was like my whatever. I was studying abroad when I released The Other. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
And then you wrote like a lot of your EP. Was it there?
Yeah. I wrote a lot of my first EP when I was kind of just traveling and stuff. So it's funny because I like a lot of the vocals recorded were just like in, you know, like a hostel or like a hotel, you know, whatever. I brought my mobile setup and yeah.
That's actually I guess that's how a lot of artists just like get away from where they're living, and you did that through study abroad, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, so I'm super fortunate.
Do you remember where else you traveled when you were there, when you were writing your EP?
Yeah, let's see. It's like Berlin. This is gonna be a long list probably. Because like we like traveled every weekend. I'm so lucky. Berlin, Munich, Hamburg, Amsterdam, Nice, Barcelona, Lisbon. It goes Latvia, where you know I have like family there.
Actually, yeah, about Latvia, you still visit your family like every year, right?
Unfortunately, I'm not able to go like every year as much more recently. But you know, growing up, I would go every summer, which was awesome.
Are you still super connected to that side?
Yeah, I like fairly connected, definitely. I have a good bit of like extended family out there. Yeah. So it's always awesome.
Do they all know about what you're doing now? You're gonna try to promote it in Latvia at the place.
Well, I actually
headlining show there.
I recently like Skyped in and did a like an interview with a Latvian radio station.
Oh my god!
And they were all super excited about that.
Yeah, I mean they're like
super cool.
I mean you're pretty much like kind of from there, so it's just like.
No, it's cool. Only thing is I feel bad because like both of my older sisters, they were taught the language at a young age, and like I wasn't, just the timing and everything. And so, like, I need to, whatever, like, I know some words, but I need to, like, at some point, like, I kind of dream about, like, spending, I don't know, like, 3-4 months there, like, isolated,
I can see that.
recording, and, like, or maybe even, like, half a year, like, at some point in my life, and, like, learning the language, and, like, just being alone there. I think that would be really cool.
That'd be so cool. You have to do that.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Wait, did you finish your list of where you went?
Oh, let's see. Oh, also... went like Krakow, Poland. Went to Auschwitz, which was obviously very heavy.
Yeah.
Very, very heavy. But a good experience. Where else? Went to Edinburgh, which is dope. Yeah, I mean, just it's so awesome being able to travel, and like we did some of like the train stuff. I don't know if you've done any of that, like where you like just hop on the Eurail train or whatever.
Yeah.
Super fun. Although we got lost, we definitely actually so me and my friends we got stuck in I'm trying to remember what train station it was. It was in France. Anyways, not a train station you want to be stuck at. Like one of us got like pickpocketed, and then we were hanging. Like we had to stay in the train station all night and wait for our train the next morning.
Damn.
And there was like cops like that were monitoring for most of the night because there was like drug dealers and like full on insane people who were just like sleeping there and staying there, and just like we had to just like sit there like guarding our stuff the whole night and just kind of like hanging out, and like people would just like they would approach us and blah blah blah, and yeah, it was interesting.
Damn.
It's a fun night.
That's so sketch.
Just sitting in the train station. So.
Do you think you could get to where you are now if you didn't study music?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I wouldn't be the same musician, but I think like I don't know, some of the like the dopest musicians out there and artists I respect the most are people who don't actually have any training.
Mm-hmm.
It's just about like having something to say and just kind of doing it. I feel like.
What would you say would be like your first big break? Was that the cheat codes and Demi Lovato thing?
In terms of like being a songwriter?
Yeah.
For other people? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's crazy because that song's like, just found out it's like top 10 at pop radio, which is so crazy. Yeah. So crazy. So.
And how did that come about again?
So I started that song with some friends of mine in New York City. They're called Loot. They're awesome. And we started the song, and then I've actually known Trevor from Cheat Codes for years.
Yeah.
So they heard the song, they flipped, and then they started working on it as well. And then so we were going back and forth, and then they were like, we have an A-list female superstar to feature on the song, but we can't tell you who it is because we don't know for sure if she's going to do it until she gets back from Africa. So we like saw this email and we're like, what's going on? And so we just start like scouring Instagram, and we found a photo of Demi Lovato in Africa like within like 5 minutes. And
so we were like, so sure.
We were like, it's got to be Demi Lovato. And
damn.
And it wasn't. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, so that was dope.
No, it wasn't. Oh my god. How did the whole Dr. Luke thing come about?
Yeah, so let's see. I actually, there was a couple of things that happened. Somebody that I knew actually back from the MySpace days, who I hadn't talked to in a long time, I found out she worked there around the same time that the woman, Jamie, who ended up, signing me to the company, like found out about me and reached out. And so I think my friend who was working there, Jillian, like hit me up on Facebook, because we literally hadn't talked probably in like 4 years, and she was like, your name came up in the office today, because this was like, after The Other, and I think it was actually just The Other came out. They heard the stuff, and they loved it, and then like it was all just it was awesome. Like I sent them other demos, and ended up coming out to LA and like writing with some of the other writers and producers, and I knew from the first session that it was just like the perfect fit. So yeah, so we ended up doing the publishing deal, and yeah, it's been awesome.
I guess it has always become easy for you to do sessions. I feel like a lot of producers have difficulty transitioning from that into sessions, but maybe because you came from like a band background, that's easy for you to like go into sessions and like know how to work with other people quickly.
It's definitely a different talent. Like, you
Yeah.
know, there's being a producer in the sense of like knowing how to create an amazing track, and and then there's also being a producer in the sense of knowing how to like curate energy in a room and make sure, you know, everybody's feeling good, and because it's all just about energy. So
yeah. And how did your song coming out with DJ Snake?
Yeah. So
Tell me
crazy.
about that.
Yeah, so that was a very very like I'm really excited. It's an awesome situation. Basically, so actually Ed Sheeran wrote that song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he co-wrote that song, and I found out like DJ Snake like followed me on Twitter, and then he hit me up. He was like big fan, and then like later that day I found out they sent the record and they were like, Ed Sheeran wrote this song, we want you to sing it. And like usually like I haven't done anything before that I haven't put out that I haven't written, but like Ed Sheeran's one of those artists that I respect so much just because he's like very real, you know what I mean? Like what he's doing I think is like super genuine, so it was like the perfect situation.
Have you done a ton of sessions with him in person?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh, but
Yeah.
have you met him?
Mm-mm.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
So you're going
It's
full on with this tour.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited.
Damn, was the tour surprising to you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was. I mean, I remember the moment that I found out about it. I was on a run. My manager called me and he was like, "So," I was like, "Yo, I'm on a run. Can I call you back?" And he's like, "Yeah, but like Ed Sheeran tour in Southeast Asia."
And you're like, "Stop!"
I
you
halted.
halted.
Yeah. So
Damn.
I'm just super humbled and excited.
And I'm already giving Love like food recommendations because he's coming to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be sick. How do you think you've grown like personally and with your music since you started? That's
a good question. I feel like right now I'm in a place where I'm feeling more honest than ever, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, because I just went from like, I think there was a few years where I sort of lost touch with the idea of like making music to just be vulnerable and to just say what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Because like as a kid, that was always like, that's how I fell in love with writing music, is just kind of just expressing myself. And then I kind of got into this mindset of like, trying to write songs for other artists and produce songs for other artists, which is like not always, it's not always the same.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm just really happy to be in a place right now where I'm just like, all the music I'm working on is just about my life,
Was there like a pivoting moment before the other that you realized, like, did you have a realization, like, I'm writing all this, but it's not like true to myself?
I would say the others really were like, yeah, that was like the big turning point for me. And a little bit before that, I was like, I had read this interview, like this interview that Paul Simon did, that basically that kind of changed my perspective a little bit, where he kind of talks about his songwriting approach and how he's not interested in going in the room and like saying, okay, what is it that I want to write a song about today, or like what am I trying to say, but going in and just like letting your subconscious kind of like tell you, because I think a lot of people, myself included obviously, feel things and know things deep down that they don't know how to say yet, or like they don't want to say, or they don't want to admit. And like, for whatever reason, when I sit down and just play chords or whatever, like that stuff comes up, and yeah.
What would you tell like the Ari when you first started being in those bands, if you could talk to him?
I would say just like stay focused on like what you dream about. Like don't ever let go of that ever, and like it's okay to be real and to just be honest.
Last question, what do you want to be remembered for?
Oh, let's see. I want to be remembered as the person, I guess, who encouraged more people to just be vulnerable.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Awesome, thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you.